Hey, we back. It seemed like just last night. So here we are. Detroit in black and white, our Saturday morning edition. Our favorite person won't be here today. Vanessa Moss, Attorney Vanessa Moss. Jim, how you doing?
Good morning. Morning, Karen C. Good to see you. And, we had a good show last night. I enjoyed having Tracy on the show. So the message to everybody is you want to come on the show, you want to see your smiling face. So look for what do they call that thing? The code? What do they call that?
Yeah, I know you're. Hey, we're
the code in the left corner of your.
Is this a cognitive test?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm failing it this morning. UCR code or what?
QR code.
QR code. Yeah.
Okay.
Morning, Timothy. Cashmere. I was worried about Cashmere. I hope, is it a different year out there in San Diego? It's almost the new year. Or you're behind us, right? California's behind us 3-4 hours.
Oh, yeah, 3 hours.
It's only 7 o'clock in the morning, but you look great this morning, Cashmere. Good to see you.
Okay. Allan Lengel. How you doing?
I'm good. Good morning. Good morning. I wanted to, there's a story on the Health Day News that came out just today. It says, next time you're primed to hold back a torrent of 4-letter frustration, just let her rip. Quote, swearing is an easily available way to help yourself feel focused, confident, and less distracted, and go for a little more, said researcher Richard Stevens of Keele University in the UK. In a study just published in the journal American Psychologist, he and his team reported that swearing helps people overcome inhibitions and pushes themselves harder on strength and endurance tests.
Jim, when did you first start swearing?
A long time ago, a couple years ago. Good morning, Janet. Jill Sheridan. We're touching all the coasts today. We're touching the southern coast and we're touching the west coast this morning. Thank you all for tuning in. Janet Overall, Kenneth Powell. Thank you. Probably, I grew up with 4 brothers, so there was a lot of mayhem. So
a lot of swearing.
Yeah, and a twin brother. I have an identical twin brother, so you can imagine that was interesting. Good morning, Eric Brown.
What about you, Allan?
I started swearing maybe in about 5th grade. There was a guy down the street, David Blatt. Another friend went over there and he was teaching us all these words we never heard, fuck and shit. And we were like, wow. And his father overheard. His father got mad at him. But it was, I probably swear too much, when I was teaching when I was on strike at the Detroit News, I taught a class at Wayne State University one time on labor and the media. And the labor professor, it was a 2-hour class. So he said, let me teach the first class with you. And so we took a break after an hour and we both end up in the bathroom. And he says to me, hey, do me a favor, cut the bullshit. And I thought things were going really well. And I was kind of a little bit hurt. And I said, well, what's wrong? And he says, no, the word bullshit. He said, we have some church people in the class. I think they might be offended.
When did Adolph? Now you go. It's your turn. When did you start swearing? A couple weeks ago.
Well, my mother taught me how to curse, and I'll tell you why. My mother. I was bused into the Oak Park School District. Lived in the Royal Oak Township, and we had to be taught don't start any fights and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Just use your language. Say this or say that. She gave me about 5 words that I use.
With you?
But I guess what? First day of school, I got into a fight. I chased one of your friends down, Allan.
Andy.
It's been downhill ever since. Good morning, J. Money Hollywood to you, Mr. 1213. Good morning, Janet. Grew up with a Montford Point Marine. When he got angry, she learned a few words.
Yeah,
Well, I was in the Marine Corps. You know,
Hey, Stephanie.
Adolph. I remember seeing him chase the kid down the street. The guy used the N-word. Is that right?
Yeah.
And Adolph was fast. Adolph was a skinny kid, man, and he could run like lightning. And he tore down Park Lawn Street, and you caught him in like a second.
Good morning, Deborah Harris. Good to see you. Where you been? Stephanie Jackson. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Nara, HS75.
yeah, cursing what? And then, and I'm gonna tell you this story. When I started working for Coleman Young, and he took cursing, swearing, whatever you want to call it, to an art. And I remember he called me. Now I'm in my office. His secretary called, said the mayor want to see you ASAP. So I go up to the 11th floor, and the mayor said, "Well, I got somebody called me that I know and said that you were at a restaurant and you was swearing." And they told me, they said, "Why are you teaching him how to swear?" He said, "Hey, I didn't teach him anything. He was swearing before he started working here." But yeah, he said, "You got to watch what you say." I said, "Well, Mr. Mayor, do you watch what you say?" Because I was with him one time, and we was in a church, and he started talking about people fucking with him. And then he realized all these ministers sitting up there. He said, "Oh, excuse me." And somebody said, "Amen, Mr. Mayor." But he had to watch his mouth sometimes. And he just said, "You have to be careful. You know, they think I taught you how to swear." I said, "No, I've been swearing a long time, Mr. Mayor. So, so we had to watch ourselves."
He used motherfucker a lot.
Yes.
Who, him or Adolph?
Both of us.
Yeah. Aloha, motherfucker.
Aloha.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Yeah.
Janet Salak, 6179. Dwayla Boyce. Good morning. Good to see you guys. You look great this morning. Everybody's all chipper. We're gonna try and.
But now we got a president that he took it to another level. He don't mind being at a press conference or wherever he's at. He's gonna, if he think you wronged him, he's gonna curse at you.
Yeah, he uses the word shithole a lot for other countries.
Yeah, well, it's only certain countries.
Who are you talking about again? Who are we talking about? Where's Stephanie at? Stephanie, straighten these guys out. True sensation. Sometimes MF is the only description. And if she says it, we'll go with it, Adolph. If she gave you the go-ahead, I think you can do it.
Yeah, what?
Who do you believe, the Lions fan or Metcalf? I don't believe either one of them, Timothy. I think they're both lying.
Well, you know what? I think that the football player got himself into some shit, and the guy that start calling him his names. I think
this has been going on for years, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it's a sign of it, immaturity. Look, you're a professional athlete. You've got you're in a different stadium. You're in a sort of a hostile environment, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in first place, and you have now gotten suspended, and you're one of the key players on the team. You've gotten suspended for 2 games. You've screwed your teammates because your immaturity and your lack of control. I mean, who cares what?
But I'm gonna tell you, Allan, and I played football and ran track, etc., and been called all kind of names, and you have to learn, because you get kicked out of the game when you want to go fight, and it's just you have to watch yourself. And then the guy when he had the press conference, he came off like, oh yeah, he calling him out of his name that he don't use. It's like, okay, you
I
know
think
how
we'll
to
find
get
out.
his goat.
Yeah, fans are always trying to, I mean, Eric's saying immaturity on the part of the fan. Like, yeah, so what? The fan's not making millions of dollars. Nobody gives a shit if the fan gets kicked out or whatever. There's a different responsibility there. The fans are there. I mean, look, it's ridiculous. You go to a hockey game and people are banging on the glass like they're at the zoo, and these are like animals, and they're treating people not like people. There's a disconnect there sometimes where they don't realize there's a person in that uniform. So, but that, that's the fans. There's a million crazy fans. You go to a Lions game, man, people are all hopped up, man. They're just, but the players need to show some constraint. We've seen it. What was the Rumble in Indiana
Palace.
Pacers?
Yeah.
But you ever see
Dallas at
that
the
movie
Palace.
with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro, the fan? Robert De Niro was a fan, and he just took it to another level. Threatened him and all kind of shit.
But I'm going to counterpoint you on that one, Allan and Adolph, and Eric makes this point. When these are real human beings, real people. They don't deserve to be abused. You can, it was at one time, I remember being at Tiger Stadium, and two guys that I saw really abused, and they were a little smarter. Ricky Henderson, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And Kirby Puckett, right, in the '87 playoffs. Those people they said so many terrible things to the lake. They're both gone right now, I think, Kirby Puckett but the point is, they have some responsibility too. Why can't we act like reasonable human beings, right? And I talked about a couple of weeks ago about a basketball game with Derek Coleman. These are human beings. They have limitations too. You can only be abused so much until you stand up. In the case of Derek Coleman, here's this 5'8" guy, 175 pounds, messing with Derek Coleman. I would not have been upset if Derek Coleman slapped that guy silly. There comes a point, who has the most to lose? This guy's going to get $50,000. We know that. This is going to cost Metcalf $555 plus the lawsuit. But we're going to find out what exactly happened. We're going to find out who's lying, because I'm going to tell you, somebody has that recorded. That you've already seen a couple recordings. I don't know what he said. I don't know what the fan said, but he's been bothering Metcalf for years and years when he was with Seattle. The Lions have some responsibility too. This guy is a troublemaker, right? Somebody should have removed this guy. I'm not defending what Metcalf did. He should have never done it. It's cost him.
He shouldn't have went over there.
Paying the big price.
He didn't have to go over there, first of all.
I agree.
Look,
right.
You know what? It's been going on forever, and I agree. Look, these people there are people in those uniforms that deserve respect. But we've seen, Hank Greenberg in the 30s and 40s at home again at Tiger Stadium, where people were yelling anti-Semitic, calling him a kike and a sheenie and whatever other stuff. And then Jackie Robinson came into the league, and actually Hank Greenberg told him, "Hey, look, you're going to get shit. People are going to scream stuff at you." And he really tried to comfort.
But Jackie Robinson knew that if Jackie Robinson was a hothead, and he knew that if he lost it, where the people calling him all kind of names, etc., that it wasn't going to get any more African American players in the major leagues. And Jackie Robinson was the right person at the right time, because he decided to not fight back, and he said it was the hardest thing to do when they calling him all kind, making animal sounds, calling him all kind of names. And
he was a brave man, though. Jackie Robinson was a brave man. He was courageous, and
that was the home team people. Sometimes, like I say, they'd be playing in their own stadiums, and there'd be like all these racist anti-Semites, whatever, screaming stuff. It was just a outrageous, that people did that. But people don't treat like I said, you go to a Red Wing game and they're pounding on the glass like they're the zoo animals, when you go, you want to get a reaction from the gorilla at or the tiger at the zoo. Yeah,
I went to a Lions game in Chicago at Soldier Field, and I had to leave. Me and my wife had to leave at halftime because these folks was out of their fucking mind. All the shit they was saying, and people say, oh, they was getting drunk and all this. There's no call for. I said, we got to leave. I said, got to leave. Otherwise, I would be getting into it with some of these folks, and it's not worth getting in a fight.
Right.
How about Miss Sheila? We appreciate how the hosts express themselves, and we appreciate how you express yourself, Miss Sheila. Buckle up today, because I think it might be an interesting ride. What can a 66-year-old bring to the U of M but a grandfather figure? G-Money Hollywood, the father figures are in their 30s and 40s in today's games. He will be measured by Ohio State University only. He must be OSU. Well, I got a little exception, G-Money. I appreciate your comments, but what do you want him to do? Start a podcast? I'm just kidding. He's just
Eric is saying, well, I wouldn't put up with that athlete or whatever. It's like, yeah, great. If you were like a star athlete, all a fan had to do is trigger you and you're kicked out of the game, and great, your team's just screwed. I mean, it's just, you could, if you're really, really bothered, you go to the security and say, that guy is saying racial slurs. I want him out of here. I know that's a more civil way, and I know these guys they're young.
Even if he'd have said that, he's gonna get sued anyway, because this guy is gonna say, I didn't say that. He's slandering me.
We forget how young these guys are. We forget that the players are in their 20s, and they're and they're strong, and they can probably beat the shit out of anyone in the stands. And so it's probably, you do have to use some restraint if you care about your team also. Like Metcalf is one of the top players on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, now he's out for 2 games, which may not make a difference. They're in first place. I think
it makes a difference. He's losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
This guy's been stalking DK Metcalf for years. He's following. He's harassed. This guy should have been removed from his 15-year season tickets. If the Lions have any courage, they will remove his ticket. He started this confrontation, regardless of what DK Metcalf did. The fan started the confrontation. He started it more than once. He's been doing this for years. I agree. Metcalf should have ignored him. But there comes a time in your life, as Eric points out, that you go, I've had enough of this bullshit, right? That's why we have issues.
There's consequences. Look, you want to, it's a decision you make. You want to get kicked out of, you want to get suspended for 2 games. You want to lose $500,000. If it's worth it, then go for it.
Well, it's worth it. Let's take a break and come back and continue this conversation.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
I'm good. I just.
Well, you're saying that the Lions should have got kicked this guy out a long time ago.
Look, I've been a visitor to Ford Field for the last 15 years. I decided not to go this year. I'd had enough of it. And I tell people why. And the reason that I don't want to go to Ford Field anymore, partially because I'm getting tired and it's old, it's a lot of work. I tell people this: Ford Field is not for Lions fans anymore. Ford Field has turned into a Taylor Swift concert, and that's not disrespectful to Taylor Swift. It's the place that everybody wants to be. People stand in front of you, people block your way. It's become unmanageable for the regular Detroit Lions fans that paid $100 for a ticket. Now they got to pay $500 for a ticket. They have taken advantage of the fans of the Lions. And
you go ahead.
No, it's just disrespectful. So if you go online and get a ticket that was $150 last year, right now the Lions this year, the tickets where I sat are $500 if you buy a single game ticket. That's outrageous. A family of four cannot go to see the Lions. The Lions need to find 10 or 15,000 tickets in that stadium and give them to the real fans for $100.
It's not just the Lions, though.
I understand.
It's all about sports. I went to the basketball Big Ten tournament, and we sitting there. Michigan State was playing one game, was playing Wisconsin, and here's the Michigan State. It's three of them in front of us. That nice. They stood up almost. I had to tell them, sit the fuck down. You can see we in good seats, and they didn't want us. They just standing up. Guy stood up from the time he walked into the arena, and he did not want to sit down. That's unreal. You know, I said, why is he in front of me? You know,
that's how it
always
works, right?
Yeah.
And back to G Money Hollywood. I was just joking with the G Money. I've been retired going on over 8 years. So it was just a joke. You're right. Young people should get an opportunity. We need I think a 66-year-old that was chosen to lead the University of Michigan football. It's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. And
right. Yeah, it is for sure. They need somebody to take control for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and then they find somebody that they want.
I was making fun of us podcasters, is what I was doing, G Money.
Yeah. Tom Izzo is 70.
He needs to step aside. It's time.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah, but he's still putting together some winning teams. So
and he's still crying about a lot of coaches are leaving because of the compensation for these athletes. But I see he's not leaving. He's staying right there.
Yeah.
He's not going.
Everybody, right? We all have our time. There's a time, and you know, I agree that 65, 70-year-old guys, you know, whether it's Nick Saban or whoever it may be, there's a time, and even Nick Saban realized his time had passed. He'd still be a good coach, but his time had passed. It's not like it used to be. You know,
you gotta know when to fold them, as they say. You gotta just walk away from the shit.
Yeah, I saw it in federal court, covering federal court. We had judges, they took senior status, but some were still, as senior status, they were still working full time. They were in their 90s, and some of them had to be told, it's time, it's enough.
Well, they had that judge in Iowa. I think he was appointed to the bench by John Kennedy, and he was 102 or some shit.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, what about doctors? You know, my doctor said he was never going to retire. He was in his early 70s, and I was like, "That's good for me." And then I made an appointment, and they said, "You need a new doctor because he's gone." Well, I mean, I don't want a 26-year-old doctor really, but I'm not sure that a 70-year-old doctor is keeping up with what the heck's going on.
What did he died or he just quit?
I don't know what he's still alive, but he said he was never going to retire, and then he was gone. So I don't know what happened. You know, everybody, pastors and priests, you know, it's hard for a 70-year-old guy to relate to a 20-year-old kid. It really is. And I agree with you, G Money. Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. He just left. But he, a year ago, he was like, I'm never retiring, Jim. I'm good. You can keep coming here. And then when I went to set my yearly physical, they said, well, I got a letter that said, you need to pick somebody else because he's no longer here. So I liked him, but, you need to find a 45-year-old doctor if you're one of us, if you're at Medicare or approaching Medicare age or whatever it is.
Well, baseball, I remember Casey Stengel was about 95 when he became the manager of the Mets. He'd been doing this shit for 50 years. Connie Mack, how many years? He was 100 when he was still sitting in the dugout with a suit on,
What's the average age of the U.S. congressman today? What's the average age of a senator?
80s, in their 80s.
No, it's not the 80s.
We look at Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, he should have left a long time ago.
Yeah.
And Namra, back to Jackie Robinson. Nobody had it nobody had it. DK Metcalf didn't have it as bad as nobody had it like Jackie Robinson had it, right?
I agree.
I mean, he dealt with it every day.
The average here, it says is about 58 years is the average for Congress, and senators is almost 64 years. We see Verlander, Scherzer, they're in their early 40s. They're still pitching. We see some quarterbacks still playing.
But I tell you, Eddie Tolan, who won 2 gold medals in the 1932 Olympics, wanted to play football at the University of Michigan. They said you can't play. You got to run track. They didn't want. They hadn't had a player for 30, 40 years. The last one was in the 1890s, and when he ran track, the track coach told him, you better not fight back. Otherwise, if you're gonna fight back, we're gonna never ever recruit another black athlete here at U of M. Yeah, and you think of this shit and say, damn, it's crazy as hell. What's his name? Jesse Owens wanted to go to U of M and run track. They had their quota. So, he went to Ohio State. So it just.
How about our native Detroiter, Willie Horton, who, we think it was 100 years ago, but, we all grew up with Willie Horton. He faced a lot of discrimination, a lot of racial animus. He really did.
Especially when they was down in Florida for the spring
training
and stuff,
He had the personality. He could be mean. I'm sure that's a guy I would not want to tick off, would be Willie Horton, even today, right?
Well,
he's a guy, Willie Horton.
So we looking at the Lions and looking at what happened to them, and I'm gonna go to Allan because Allan, he loved those Lions, and They're winning. What the fuck happened to the Lions?
You know what? A lot of it had to do with their front line. They didn't, their offensive line. You can't, my friend Marty Greenberg always says you can't win without a good line, both defensive and offensive. But, they're not opening up they lost their center. They've had the other people injured and stuff like that. They're just, you don't have a good front line. You can't open up for the runners. You can't open up holes for the runners. You can't protect your quarterback. Your quarterback has to rush the pass quicker than he wants to. And Goff is a great quarterback only if he has protection. If he's not a great scrambler. And then the defensive line, been for the most part kind of on the weak side. And when you're rushing, the passer, you're doing the defense.
They need to get another coach. I'm sorry.
It's coaching. Absolutely coaching. Jared Goff is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Mark my words. Anybody that's paying attention out there, Jared Goff is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if they watch Pittsburgh, he threw for 343 yards with a ton of pressure on him. All the coaches on Minnesota said, look what happened at Pittsburgh. They put pressure on him. He still threw for 343 yards. We got to do something different. The Vikings adjusted. The Lions did not adjust. It's as simple as that.
Well, Dan Campbell, I think he overall is a great coach. He took over the offensive calls mid-season, and it's too much. He's a stress.
Listen. He maybe.
Happy is what they did. Deborah Harris, thank you for your comment. I agree with you, but it's a rare individual that's 65, 70, or 75 years old that can get along with a young person. They can. There's people out there that can, but it's a rare individual. Thank you for your comment.
I don't know if it's rare, but it's not. Look,
it's rare. The guys like Nick Saban are rare.
The Pistons hired the coach. I can't remember his name, from Toronto, and he was a great coach in Toronto. He did great, and then he came here, and I don't think he knew how to really work with young people.
He's still we're talking about young kid. I'm not talking about 30. I'm not talking about 30-year-old basketball star. I'm talking about an 18-year-old kid that just graduated from Belleville High and a 70-year-old coach. That's a rare coach that can. I think it's. Go ahead, Allan. I'm sorry. I don't think it's that common.
Well, he did. He won 10 games this past season with young folks.
With a 38-year-old coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But as far as Dan Campbell, I've seen people say, get rid of Brad Holmes, the general manager. Look, Brad Holmes, he could, some have criticized him, saying he didn't draft, he didn't before the trade deadline. He said we're fine, we're okay, when they weren't. The one question that has to be addressed with the Lions is, why do they have so many more injuries than other teams? People deny this, but my friend says he thinks they have some of the toughest practices. And so when you have every day a grinding practice and then you go into the game, you're really worn down your body.
Listen, Allan, you good, Allan. Fuck the Lions, man.
I'll just give you two names, and then we can move on because I'm tired of talking about the Lions. But Kevin Zettler and Carlton Davis III. Those are two names that the Lions thought they could get a DB cheaper, and they got the kid from the Jets that was hurt and he wasn't worth. Carlton Davis is where? He's playing for the New England Patriots that were nobody last year. And you watch Carlton Davis. He's a better defensive back. They saved $2 million a year. They didn't want Zettler because they outsmarted themselves is what they did. They thought they were they could gauge talent better than the other teams. And New England picked up Carlton Davis. Zettler went to Tennessee because that's where he lives. That's why the Lions are losing. They outsmarted themselves. And that's the general manager and the coach. It's not the players.
And I'll end it with this. Same old Lions. That's right. Same old Lions. Fuck the Lions, man.
Well, I think, look, they have a couple fixes. I think they're not done yet. I mean, they
done. Stick a fork in them. Stick a fork in them.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams.
Hey, listen, they gone. Why
isn't anybody blaming Gibbs and Montgomery from getting 19 yards on the ground? Why are they all blaming Jared Goff? Why are they blaming the running backs? You know why they're not blaming the running backs? Because they recognize that they couldn't block for him. The same thing that happened with Jared Goff. So
right.
All of them.
It's the front line.
Gibbs is not a bad running back.
Minnesota beat them so bad. You thought Minnesota was going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Minnesota's a better team than the Lions right now.
Yeah, they are.
The Lions are one of the worst teams now. They've gone from earlier in the season where they could beat anyone to a point where they can lose to anyone.
Well, let's move on. Let's move on from the Lions. I just can't take it anymore. And here we are talking about the same old Lions and shit.
Hey, look, they've had some great teams in the last year they were 15-2. I mean,
They didn't go anywhere.
There's
I-
always last year. That's what the Cubs always say. There's always
Right.
last year.
Yeah, no question about it.
Lions.
Well, as we as coming to a close of this new year and stuff, Detroit, next 6-7 months, we got a new mayor and a couple of new people on the city council and stuff. So what's going to happen? Is this mayor gonna? I've been reading where people saying, "Oh, we hope Mary Sheffield do what Duggan did." I hope not.
Thank you, Mr. 1213. I think you're absolutely right on.
Well, I think that, it's interesting. We'll see, a lot of times we see people, you get in new people and they want to emulate who they succeeded. And so we'll see if Mary brings her own style or if she just tries to continue the Duggan administration stuff. I mean, look, she's going to come in a little green there. We'll see, there's a lot of pressure. Obviously she's young. She, it's a whole, it's like being a corporation CEO when you become mayor. I mean, there's a lot of balls to juggle. There's a lot going on. We'll see how she does, but
Well, and you know what? I'm tired of hearing Duggan saying what he undone. A lot of this shit, it was put in place, and some of it he didn't do. It was just so, and everybody saying, "Oh, we're gonna miss him and shit." I'm not gonna miss him because I know him. He's full of shit.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, look, Duggan is running for governor. It's not like he's done as a politician. Of course, he's going to sort of pass.
Well, you predicted he's gonna win, right?
I think he has a shot at it. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think I don't think you can rule him out. I think he's a very savvy politician. As is Jocelyn Benson. I don't know about John James being that savvy. And, John James is sort of hooking a star onto Trump, who, next year, Trump's popularity may not be someone you really want to hook your star to.
Well, let me ask you this, Jim. Downriver, what do they think of Duggan?
That's a great question. I don't even know where to start with Duggan. I just, does he have a shot? He's got a shot. Is he kind of as Ross Perot used to always say, I worked for a company called EDS. He used to say, is it whatever's in the clamshell, an oyster? He said, I'm the sand rubbing up against the oyster. And I think that's who Mike Duggan is. I think that he's a very polished, very slick, very Detroit-style politician. I think that he'll probably do well in Wayne County. I know that, some of the people that I know, there's a group of people, a political body down here. I don't even know what, Chamber of Commerce, city administrators, mayors downriver and Western Wayne County that have embraced Mike Duggan and are supporting him for the governorship. I think some of them are a little bit naive in my mind. I think they think they're going with a winner, and these are lifelong Dems. Some of these people are Republicans. It's just like the presidency. You don't win. Nobody wins a presidency with only Democrats or only Republicans. Donald Trump, and I say this, I know it makes people mad. You know who elected Donald Trump? The Democrats. And that's exactly what happened. And you know who elected Joe Biden? The Republicans. And that's how it works. It's the people that are in the middle.
The independents.
And the independents are in the middle. But a lot of independents didn't start off as independents, right? A lot of people don't want to claim a party, so they say I'm an independent, right? But they're a lifelong Democrat or a lifelong Republican that can't stand the way Donald Trump's behaving. they now claim to be independents, but they're really Republicans, not Democrats.
And that's
So,
what Duggan's going after. He's
exactly
going after people who feel disenfranchised from their party, who are looking for something fresh, and that he's capitalized on. Right after the election, he said the system is broke. We had 2 presidential candidates that nobody cared for. I'm gonna be the alternative, and he's really playing that up as I'm the peacemaker. I changed the way. I don't buy it.
I don't even buy that shit, man.
Well, you're looking at it from a Wayne County, a Detroiter. You're looking at it from a guy from Wayne County. You're not looking at a guy from Grand Rapids or Gaylord or Ishpeming. They look at it differently than somebody that's familiar with.
Well, I lived and worked up that way, so I know what they.
Well, how about Gretchen Whitmer? She's way more popular across the country than she is in Michigan because people here are familiar with her, right?
Yeah, there's no question. It's like when people in Detroit beat up on Aretha Franklin, but you go around the country, they looked at her as one of the greatest singers in the world. And here, they kept beating her up because of finance and anything else. Yeah.
I think Duggan is I think in Southeast Michigan, he's fine. I mean, what the challenge is in Grand Rapids, up in Traverse City, up in Marquette, and all around where, but he's, look, he says he's changed the narrative and all that on the political stuff. Basically, he learned he learned to be a big mayor and threaten the council. Like, if you don't go along with me, I'm going to get someone to run against you. So don't fuck with me. And that he just pulled out the big city stuff. It wasn't like he changed the dynamics of like, oh, we're the kumbaya, we're all together, we're not fighting. We've I think he just learned how to be a big city mayor, and that was effective. I think
he ain't winning Traverse City, and Jocelyn Benson is not winning the Traverse City. I mean, the area outside Traverse City. Jocelyn Benson and Mayor Pete will carry Traverse City, and the Republicans will carry everything outside of Traverse City. He's got nowhere to go when it comes to a place like Traverse City. He's not getting any votes in Traverse City. He'll get 3 votes in Traverse City.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Traverse City's. I think your Grand Rapids, Traverse City are becoming.
Traverse City is so liberal. I don't know if you've been to Traverse City. Mayor Pete moved there because that fits his lifestyle, right? Traverse City is as liberal as you get, and outside Traverse City, they're voting for Republicans. So he's got nowhere to go. He's boxed out of Traverse City.
You know what? There's more and more people retiring. Look, you know what? It's like Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia used to be totally red. Now it's a blue. It's a blue state because of Northern Virginia.
Because everybody works for the government there.
Well, no, they've always worked for the government there.
But it wasn't as big as it was now. Now Virginia just elected a Democratic governor. That's because that's the biggest area. There's 3, 4, 5, 6 million people in Northern Virginia, right? And the rest of Virginia has nobody except for Tidewater and Richmond.
Well, Richmond and Norfolk.
Yeah, Tidewater. Norfolk is Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. Portsmouth, Virginia. Yeah.
But I like I said, I wouldn't rule. I mean, Duggan's got the time. He's got the money. He's got some of the big.
Who's going to vote for him in Traverse City?
Nobody.
Who's going to vote for him in Traverse City?
Nobody.
In the city itself or outside Traverse? Because
in the city that Mayor.
Plenty people in the city. I have friends in Traverse City.
Well, you know what? You never know what's gonna happen, but I'm saying this, that Duggan is not gonna win. I might be wrong, but my gut feeling is Duggan is wasting his fucking time. He's gonna spend a lot of fucking money, and people out of state is not buying his I changed the narrative. He ain't changed shit.
Will the Republicans in Charlevoix and Petoskey, the real rich ones, will they vote for Duggan? I mean,
no.
Yes.
No.
Yes. You've got Penske, you've got Pete Carmanos, you've got Dan Gilbert. They're backing him.
Yeah, because he took care of them. You
But
know, he took care of him. That's why they backing him.
Do you think
Uh,
Mayor
and-
Pete's going to back him?
I'm sorry, who?
Do you think Mayor Pete Buttigieg is going to back him up in Traverse City?
No.
Look, he's going to go. Buttigieg wants to be president, so he's not going to disenfranchise the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is really upset about Duggan.
You just said a mouthful.
They're doing everything they can to try to sabotage his thing, and so Buttigieg and anybody else, and that's why Gretchen Whitmer is probably not going to endorse Duggan, because she has presidential or vice presidential aspirations. They're not going to go against the party.
Yeah, well.
Hey, man, Riles, you look great out there today. Thank you for tuning in for the first time live. We appreciate having you on. Anytime you want to hit that QR code and join us, please do. Tamari Kemet, where have you been, Tamari? We haven't seen you this morning. Duggan couldn't get his land value tax scheme passed in Lansing, failing 3 times in the Lansing legislature. Michigan's a little more sophisticated than Minnesota that made and California that made the actor, couple of actors. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the governor. And
Minnesota made a wrestler.
Ventura. We're not Minnesota. Michigan is not Minnesota. Tamari Kemet says Duggan will fail miserably. And I think if you look at it from a Wayne County, from a Detroit, from a Trenton standpoint, you think Duggan's got a great chance. If you look at it from, I don't know, wherever, Hillsdale or Adrian, or I just think people look at it and go, nah, we don't need the big city politics out here. We're good. That's what I think will happen. And so but I don't know. We'll see. You might be right, Allan.
Macomb County. It's going to be. It used to be. Oh man, Duggan is who Duggan is. He's a Republican and Democratic clothing. Now he's an independent. He's an independent now, so to speak. But he's really a Republican.
Well, he's trying. He's trying to thread a fine whatever.
Can't do it.
So will he win Detroit? Allan, do you think he'll win Detroit?
First of all, he's being careful.
No,
criticizing.
No.
He's trying. And did you say, can he win Detroit?
Yeah, will he win Detroit?
No.
Yes, I think there's a very good chance he can win Detroit.
I'm telling you, Lengel. I'm telling you, these people are not gonna. They're not gonna vote aye for independence. Some of them will, but the majority of the folks, unless he pay everybody to the absentee, where they gonna steal some votes. But no.
If he doesn't win Detroit, where's he going to win? Adolph?
I think he'll
What
win.
does your poll say, Allan? What does your poll say?
I can't remember what the polls are, but I think it was pretty evenly split with him and Jocelyn Benson. And then Gilchrist got some of the vote, but Benson and Duggan get more of the vote. I think he's got possibility. He's not going to clean up Detroit. He's not going to be like he's going to take a sliver of it, but he may take the majority. I think.
And if I was Jocelyn Benson, you use she get the nomination, and depends on who's a running buddy.
Thank you, G Money. He says if he carries 75% of Southeast Michigan, I'd be surprised. He may win Southeast Michigan, but it sure ain't going to be 75%. He would need 25. He's not going to get 75% of
75%.
That's a little.
Well, but he makes a point. If he shows big in Southeast Michigan, with the 80-year-old people that I'm talking to, that are behind him are part of the fabric of Southeast Michigan politics, and they're all behind Duggan. So there's like 100 of them. But you know what? People are, as G Money points out, they don't want to listen to the 80-year-old former mayor of Wyandotte or Trenton or Southgate. They're tired of those people.
Right.
Those are the people that are behind Duggan right now, at least downriver.
Yeah, well, I think, but look, age-wise, look at our presidential candidates last year. One was 80 or whatever, and one was like 77, 78. So I don't know. Look, and Bernie, Bernie Sanders, you see that guy. That guy's like the the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, he needs to go. He needs to go. But he's needed to go
They
for
need
the
to
last
go.
20 years.
So
He's not even a Democrat.
I don't know that age is a disqualifier. I mean, look,
It's not a disqualifier. You can elect anybody you want.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Garland Gilchrist, he's going to get some of the vote, but I think he's concentrating, hoping to get the black vote and the Arab vote. He's really gone out to the Arab community and talked at conferences and
they not vote for it.
I love Garland Gilchrist. I think he'd be a great governor, but he ain't being governor.
Right.
No, he's not. And I like him too.
Well, look, I wish he would have run for mayor, but he didn't want that. He thought he was entitled to the governorship, and
he wouldn't have won as mayor.
As we know, lieutenant governors in Michigan, I think, is it only Milliken, the only lieutenant governor who actually became governor, or maybe there's somebody else? But
well, and he became governor because George Romney resigned and went to D.C. To work for Nixon. So
to Mary Kemet, Duggan is the Bernie Madoff of Detroit, looting homeowners $600 million and 100,000 illegally foreclosed home. He's a crook. Thank you, to Mary Kemet. What do you think about that, Adolph? Allan, what do you think about?
Well, listen, she's not far from what he's been doing. Shit, and the media buys all this shit, and they gave him a pass when he gave his woman, now his wife, 500 grand, and it was a one-day fucking story. Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Wait, there were a lot of Free Press did a lot of stories on it.
It didn't do shit. What happened?
What
happened?
Look, you can do a million stories. I mean,
Kwame went to jail for cheating on his wife. He didn't. He just divorced her.
Well,
yeah,
the difference. I think Duggan didn't get involved in this big messy case and perjure himself. But
like I said, judges that I know say they never prosecuted anybody for lying on the stand. He said, what's his name? Judge Townsend, the late Judge Townsend said they lied in felony cases all over the place, and nobody was never prosecuted except you lie. You prosecute a guy because he cheated on his wife and he lied about it.
But I'll agree with that. But there was also a component that lying cost. Well,
he shouldn't have fucking went. He shouldn't have even went to court. They should have just settled the case, and they didn't. And they didn't. And he got on the stand, and he thought he could talk his way out of it. And they already knew when they asked him the questions.
Thank you, Kenneth Powell. We're glad to have you on today. We appreciate your comments. G Money and Eric are discussing, and G Money thinks that Duggan will win Detroit, and Eric's saying that the voters are misinformed. I don't think
Duggan's not going to win Detroit. He's not going to win Detroit.
But how do you is Detroit any different than Trenton or Sterling Heights when it comes to voters being misinformed about who to vote for? I mean, I wouldn't say Detroit is any more misinformed than anywhere else in this country.
Right.
I don't really get that, but I get his point. If Duggan wins Detroit and a huge portion of Southeast Michigan, he's got a shot. I just think when the UAW sends out their stuff and
UAW, and listen, the UAW couldn't even help Kenlock. UAW is full. UAW is dead.
Whether it's the Teamsters, the UAW, are the teachers union going to support Duggan?
Nope.
Look, the bottom line is that Duggan got elected 3 times and could have easily got
with 45,000 votes, Allan. 45,000 votes. He's going to need a couple more.
You know what? How many? What are the percentage of people voted for him?
We're talking about Detroit. I'm talking about Detroit.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
he's
listen,
a popular figure in Detroit.
Duggan is full of it. I ain't lying. You know,
45,000 votes, Allan. 45,000 write-in votes,
Jim,
basically.
Jim, I'm just saying, in the city of Detroit, he's got overwhelmingly elected. The first time,
yeah, because nobody. Listen, everybody get overwhelmingly elected. Once you get in, you don't. You in forever.
but I think the Detroit voters, I still have some affection for him. I think they'll.
No, I don't.
They vote who they have a voice. I mean, I think you're right, Allan. I get your point. They can only vote for who their options are, and when they have nothing but if they have, like in the last presidential election, there wasn't a good option. I mean, we went from a guy that didn't know his own name to a person that was hand selected by the Democratic Party to be the Queen of the United States without a single vote. So, what were the choices? Somebody that was appointed Queen of the United States or Donald Trump, and the people selected Donald Trump. They had two bad choices, right? So
they picked the worst. They picked
Cornel West, or Cornel West, who should have been president, if you ask me.
Cornel West is great. I mean, there's no way he was going to win. I love the guy. I mean, I love listening to him talk. I love when he calls us. You know, what does he say?
He came on our show, right?
My vanilla brother. But yeah, he's a character, man. He's a brilliant guy, but it's like him and Bernie Sanders, man. They're on the fringe too much.
Well, they talk too much shit, you know. And Bernie Sanders is a mean old man.
Thank you, Namra. S75. G Money, I'm sorry to bring this up. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't show. I added the junior there. Didn't show any ugliness. Let's change the game. Life is about changes. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be the way it is. It's what we put up with. It's who we promote to be president of the United States or mayor of Detroit or mayor of Saginaw or Trenton or anywhere else. We get what we deserve because we're the people that promote. We're part of this problem.
Yeah, we are. Anyway, as we come to a close, Jim, your final thought on today?
You know, you guys are lucky. I guess you're fortunate. You know, I had a coffee and I never drink coffee. I had an outrage that I'm going to save for another time, but it has to do with basically has to do with what happened in Fowlerville, what happened at Kentucky State University. And
I saw that. Yeah.
And what happened in Australia. And I just want to say this. I'm proud and I'm happy to be an American citizen, regardless of the propaganda spreading, whether it's Fox News or CNN or the Detroit News or Free Press or the Washington Times or the Washington Post or the New York Post. Wherever we go, people need to appreciate what we have because this is the best country in the world. And we're fortunate to live here. And we need to recognize that and protect what we have.
Okay.
I'll piggyback on that by saying I agree with you. It's the best country, but one of the reasons it's the best country, at least in the past, is that you've been able to criticize and speak out when you see an injustice, and we can't stop. It doesn't mean we don't think it's a great country, but a lot of people have standards for what justice is and stuff like that. And when they see injustices, they speak out about it. It doesn't make it a bad country, but we have to be aware of bad things that happen, and we should be.
I'm a close on that. My parents say if you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing at all. So I'll leave it alone. We'll be back next week. Do we come back next week? It's
New Year's Eve.
No, we gonna come back after the New Year.
No, we have friends out here. We have friends out here that.
Are you gonna be
the gym show?
Let's ask the friends out there if they want us to come. What do you got? You going out to the ballroom dancing on New Year's Eve? What are you guys doing?
I'm sorry, if this is the best you can do on New Year's Eve, then you're in trouble.
Well, then I'm in trouble. But we have friends out here that if they come on Facebook or YouTube and say I want to be on it. We should have a show. I'm going to come on. I'm going to push the UCR code. Then we'll do a show. We'll give them until the morning of December 31.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll come on by
Okay.
myself and visit with our friends if you guys don't want to do it.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna be partying. No,
Yeah, you are.
no, I ain't. I'll be at the game.
Oh, you'll be gone. Yeah. Well,
But
okay.
that still don't stop. Don't stop. You know?
Let's see everybody in the new year then.
Are you going to the bowl game?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, good for you, man.
Thank you, Kashmir. I think it was a good way to start the year too. Nothing's more important than all our colleagues out there that we communicate with every day.
Okay. Well, if y'all want to come, come on New Year's Eve, we can do it.
Allan's going to a ballroom
it's only
party.
an
You're
hour.
going to a football game, and I'm sure Vanessa will be. Vanessa, you know, she dresses like she belongs at the Grammys sometimes, and I'll be here like this in my cold sweater. So I guess we'll wait till the new year. Thank you, Kenneth.
No, we don't. We gonna be on.
Duela, we never even talked to Duela tonight. Or this morning. Good morning, Duela. It's good to see you. Thank you for being part of this show.
Yeah, well. Anyway, we'll be well.
Adolph has plans at the Titty Bar. Do you have plans at the Titty Bar, Adolph? I mean, at the adult entertainment. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, I do.
A Golden Nug, Gold Star Bar, whatever it is. Stephanie, Stephanie carries me through some of these shows. I'm so happy.
Okay, Jim. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year.